Welcome back. Today I'm going to take a look at a website that I've just become aware of called Chessbook.com. This isn't going to be a full review despite what the title up there says. It's more of a first look and preliminary review. I just became aware of this site a few days ago and I decided to take a look at it, and I thought, why not click record when I do that? The front page looks like this. It says, it's your personal opening book. Chessbook is the fastest way to build a bulletproof opening repertoire. Try it for free, no sign up required. They're also really tiny here. It says you can download on the App Store or Google Play, so I assume that means there's apps for both operating systems of mobile devices. There are links at the top to log in and sign up. I'm not going to do either one of those today. I don't have an account here, so I can't log in, and I haven't checked it out yet, so I'm not sure that I want to sign up. It looks like here on the front page there are some screenshots. It looks like you can work through opening repertoires for both white and black. And then there are daily tasks like practice moves, review your online games, and play through a model game. I assume this is an example of somebody's work here on several defenses like Scandinavian, Caro-Kann, French, King's Pawn game, and Sicilian defense. You can pick the best moves to maximize your win rate. Only spend times on the moves you'll actually see. It says most books and courses are written by masters for masters. Chessbook lets you avoid obscure grandmaster lines and focus your efforts on the moves that are common at your level. Well, that makes sense because I have looked at the opening books. I have the actual physical book called Modern Chess Openings, and there are tons of lines for some of the openings that I play, especially the Caro-Kann defense. There's multiple pages, and a lot of those lines I never see because I'm not playing against titled players. I'm playing against people that are around 1200 rapid most of the time, and so yeah, I definitely see responses to what I play that are uncommon in the book. So that's one reason that when I'm on Lichess, for example, I don't use the master opening book very often. Now, sometimes I look at that to see what I should play, but I switch to the Lichess database to see what players are going to play against me, or at least what's the most common. It looks like this is a screenshot of the app. I know most people seem to do most things on phones and apps these days. I tend to do most of my chess on the PC here because, the screen's bigger and it's a lot easier to get precise control with the mouse pointer. When I do play chess on an app, it's usually on my tablet, which is, I don't know what the exact measurements of it are, but the screen's, 3 or 4 times larger than my phone screen. On my phone screen, when I tap on a square, my finger's actually touching like 4 squares on the chessboard. So, it's much easier to make a mistake. But anyway, they have that for those people who like that sort of thing. And it says you can collect all your openings in one place. It mentions several different other websites. It says YouTube. I don't play chess on YouTube, so I'm not sure how that works, but ChessBase, Chessable, Lichess, and learn middle game plans for any opening. Well, that's encouraging because very often I know the opening moves in a certain line out to sometimes 8 or 10 moves, but then once we get to the middle game, I really don't know what to do. That sounds like it might come in handy. But anyway, I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm going to click try it for free and see how this works. Okay, when I clicked try it for free, it took us to this page with a really dark green chessboard, and the light squares are, at least to me, nearly the same color as the dark squares, so that's a little interesting. I do like the piece set. It's not my favorite piece set, but I like it a lot better than some of the ones available on many websites. On these, it's, obvious and easy to tell the pieces apart, which isn't always the case. Well, let's click get started and see what happens. Okay, it asks me what my current rating is. This is used to determine which moves your opponents are likely to play. Well, let's go with Lichess. On Lichess, my rapid rating is above 1600, so I'm going to switch this one level up, set rating, and continue. Do you want to import an existing repertoire? I suppose I could connect my Lichess account. I've done that on a couple of other sites, like the Rosen Score and stuff like that. But I think here I'll just say no, I'll start from scratch and see what it does. Let's add the first line to your repertoire. To start with, choose the first move I play as white. Okay, well, I've been playing the English, so I'm going to choose the English opening. But before I do, I'm looking at these columns. There's a column that says master. Sorry, it pops up every time I move my mouse. There's a column that says masters and then percentages underneath that. So I assume that's the percentage of master games that start with those opening moves, in which case the English opening is 7%. I think I knew when I chose it that it was the 4th most common opening for masters, and I think it was like the 5th or 6th most common for people at my level, and that was one of the reasons that I chose it. There's an eval. I assume this has been run with Stockfish or some other engine here, and there are peer results. And I assume this is taken from the rating range that I gave it. I would like to see a tooltip or pop-up when you hover over a word like that. I know that wouldn't work on the app, but on a website, I think that would be a fairly easy thing to add. So when I just hover there, it would automatically pop up a little box after a couple of seconds, or after a few milliseconds, that says, this is taken from X rating range on X website. But that's just me. Probably most people wouldn't use it, so it might not be worth their time. But anyway, it says the English opening has a 51% win rate, which looks like almost the highest except for the Polish, which is played by almost no one. But anyway, let's play c4 and see what it does. Okay, choose a move to prepare for. You'll need to cover all of these eventually, but just pick one you're familiar with for now. These first two are definitely the ones that I see the most often, e5 in response and knight to f6. I have also seen the symmetrical variation. So, okay, well, let's just do the e5 version. Okay, so the opponent has played e5. Choose your next move. It looks like all 5 of those are rated by the evaluation as equal. And of course, the knight to c3 is the most common played by masters. That's also what I play. When my opponent responds with e5, I always play knight to c3 here, so I will click that. Choose a move to prepare for. Okay, here almost always my opponents play knight to f6 or knight to c6. Although I have seen bishop to c5, I've seen bishop to b4 here as well, but it says that's not common enough to show up in this list. So let's play the knight to f6, which I think is what I see most common here. Choose your next move. I always play g3 as my next move in this situation. And the reason I say always is because when I went to decide on this opening, I decided not to have 2 or 3 responses to every position because that's just harder to remember. So I just tried to remember if they play that, I'm going to play g3, which looks like it has about the same win rate as knight to f3. One reason I don't play knight to f3 here is because they can just push that pawn. They don't always, in my experience, but they can. And I like to play g3, get my bishop on g2, then play e3 and put my knight on e2 behind that e pawn. So I'm going to say g3 here, which it says is the Karl's-Bremen system. Choose a move to prepare for. I have seen d5 here, but it's definitely not the most common like this list says. But anyway, let's say bishop to c5 because I do remember having seen that. And choose my next move here. My next move is almost always bishop to g2. It says that's enough for now. Let's save your progress. Save these moves to my repertoire, or I've changed my mind and start over. I'll save them for now. Okay, your white repertoire is 4% complete. How to complete your repertoire. Your goal is to cover any positions which occur in at least 1 in 100 games. Okay. I don't know if that's a good ratio or not, but it probably is, or they wouldn't have put it there. This was set based on your rating, but you can always change it later. Okay. Now practice the moves that I've added. Okay. Let's see what it does. Play my first move. All right. I did that. And they responded thusly, so I will play knight to c3, and then I will play g3, and then I will play bishop to g2. Oh, well, there was some confetti there. I can connect to my online account, so I'm going to skip that step for now. Skip this step for now because I'm just, taking a first look. My chessbook is ready to go. Okay, can I do black now? Let's try. Oh, it says get the Chessbook app. Okay, well, I'm using my PC right now, so I can't use the app on it as far as I know. Let's try black just out of curiosity. My black repertoire is a 0% complete. Okay, well, let's start building it because what my opponents play are e4 and d4. I would say 75, maybe 90% of the time. So let's go with e4. And what I always play is the Caro-Kann defense. And here I see a wide variety of responses. Lately, I've been seeing a lot of knight to f3, but you also see a lot of d4 here. I've seen people play c3 here. I've seen people play knight to c3. Looks like c3 isn't mentioned here. Oh yeah, I've seen c4 as well. I think maybe I've seen d3, but it's not very common at all. And I've definitely seen f4. But let's go with d4. It says it's the most common, and I think it's the one that I see the most. And then I play d5 here. Choose a move to prepare for. Advanced variation. Exchange variation, I see those. Knight to c3, I see that one a lot. f3, which is the fantasy variation. It says here it's Markozy. That's looks like maybe it's a Polish name, so I'm certain I'm not pronouncing that correctly. But I've seen this called the fantasy variation when they play f3. And knight to d2, I see that more when I look at master games with the Caro-Kann. But anyway, let's go with the advanced variation. Then I always play c5 here. I used to play bishop to f5, but after the Gotham chess course, I've been playing c5. And those are all moves that I've seen before as well. I think what's most common here is knight to f3 or c3. Okay, well, c3 is the one that's most common in this list, so that I have seen that, and I usually put knight to c6, which it says is by far the most common. And here I usually see knight to f3, and then I play bishop to g4, which it says is what a master would play here. And that's because the reason I play that is not because I'm really good at chess, it's because I've looked at those master games and the databases. Oh, and it says bishop to e2 is the only expected move. Okay, well, I can guarantee that's not the only move I see here. I've seen all sorts of moves here. I've seen h3 played here. I've seen bishop coming out to b4 to pin, b5 I mean, to pin my knight. I've had people take my c-pawn here. Okay, but let's say that they play bishop to e2. I have seen that, but it's definitely, I'm pretty sure that's not the most common move here. And it says my best move here is e6. Well, it doesn't say that's necessarily best, but it's more common among masters. That is what I play here, so let's do that. Okay, I've reached my coverage goal. And here it says black usually castles kingside, and so on. Okay, and I assume those arrows on the screen, I'm not going to read everything, but I assume they match that list of things there. That does all look pretty normal, except very often here, instead of castling, I see them play h3, trying to force this capture here, which I do take their knight. But sometimes they castle first and then play h3. Okay, so this all looks normal. Save these to my repertoire. It says my black repertoire is 7% complete, and it says there are some settings. Let's look at that. Okay, my rating was set, cover positions. Okay, so I can change the frequency of how often the moves appear. Oh, 1 in 100 seems fine. Okay, I'm definitely not going to go to 1 in 400. That's so rare that it would just be something I would have to figure out at some point. I can practice individual moves or complete lines. Okay, and this, I guess here would show which sites you've connected your accounts to. The board appearance. Okay, that is a good option to have. Okay, there are 4 options: Chessbook, Lichess, Chess.com, and Anarchy. Okay, well, Lichess and Chess.com, I know both have at least a dozen, if not more, options for how the board looks. So what are the... Oh, this one gives me brown and brown. Definitely not my favorite color, but it's slightly better than that dark green. What about Chess.com? Oh, the green and tan. I don't like that. Okay, let's go back to Lichess. I really don't like that either. Anarchy? Nope. Okay, we're going to go with the Lichess version of the board appearance. That's a matter of personal taste, by the way. I'm not saying there's anything intrinsically wrong with either the brown or the green boards. Those are just my 2 least favorite colors of boards. I would prefer like a really light gray and a relatively dark gray, honestly. That way the pieces stand out more to me. I also have tried like a purple and a really light gray that looks almost white, like a purple and a white, or a lavender, I guess. I've done blue and I'm okay with that, but I don't know. I've tried various colors. I just know that that dark green with the slightly less dark green was not enough contrast for me. Piece animation, normal. Sound effects enabled. Wait, were there sound effects? That could have been because I was talking. That happens. You can upgrade to add unlimited moves. Okay, so there are plenty of settings here. And this looks like your dashboard. White, black, how many practice moves you have due, a suggested model game to play through. And in order to correct your opening mistakes, it looks like you need to connect an account, which that makes sense. Okay, they have a Discord you can join. You can share your feedback or collaborate. As much as I sometimes sound like I know what I'm talking about, I don't know enough about what I'm talking about to collaborate with somebody on developing a website. I can just give some opinions like on the board color, but I might be in the minority on that, and there would be no point in asking me. Okay. Anyway, except for the board colors, I like the way this site looks. I like the dark look of the site because whenever I go to a bright site like Wikipedia or Facebook, something like that, it just kind of blasts me with radiation here, like an alien ray gun. So I like the dark look of the site. The font over here that they have chosen, the typesetting, is very clear and easy to read. So that's perfect. It seemed like everything I clicked on was really responsive and, went to that thing immediately. One thing I did just notice from clicking around that I would say is a negative for me personally is that the URL in the address bar doesn't change. That wasn't visible here on my screen recording, but the entire time it just said chessbook.com. So this is basically an online app rather than a website, in the sense that it just takes you to chessbook.com, and anything you click on here, you're still at chessbook.com. Whereas I would prefer that most of those things be like chess.com/black or chessbook.com/white and so on. That way, when I want to return to a very specific location in the site, I can copy and paste that URL. But that might not be something that's relevant to this website. It's definitely relevant on places like chess.com and lichess.org, where I want to link to a specific game or a specific puzzle. You definitely want the full address, but that probably won't bother most people. That's my guess. Well, I think, like I said at the beginning, in order to give a full review of this website, I would have to use it a lot, and this is just a first look at it. But my opinion after my first look is positive. It seems like it would be a good way to work on your opening repertoire, which is what it says. Another thing I like about it is that it's a focused website. It just has one goal, and that's to work on your opening repertoire. Maybe with a free account or trying it for free like I'm doing now. There's probably a limit, I assume, because it did say to to upgrade for unlimited moves. So if you're somebody that's working on openings or deciding to try a new opening, or you didn't know there were openings in chess, whatever the case might be, maybe this site is worth a look for you. It's certainly free to try, as I did just now, which, there's nothing to be lost there but a few minutes. And if we're honest, most of us spend a few minutes doing completely nonsensical things every day, so it can't hurt, right? And I should add, before I close out this video, that this is not sponsored. They did not ask me to do a review of their site. I'm doing this of my own free will, and I just became aware of the site a couple of days ago, and I was curious. So I would say 4 out of 5 stars based on this first look, but again, not a full review. Thank you for spending your time here. Let me know if you've used this site and what you think about it. Or if you haven't, maybe give it a shot and then tell me what you think about it. I'd be curious in other people's opinions, even if they disagree with me about the colors of the squares on the chessboard. So thank you for spending your time here, and I will see you next time.